Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Can everyone hear each other?
Hello.
Hello?
I
Hello?
can hear everybody.
Okay.
I can hear everyone. Yep.
All right. Awesome. And Kristopher, just so I have it for the record, how do you pronounce your last name?
Oh, yeah, thank you. It's Wente.
Wente. Okay. Awesome. You guys ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Director Motke Dapp, co-stars of the new film Another Version of You, Sara Antonio and Kristopher Wente. Thank you for taking the time to swim in the bowl with me.
We're glad to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. I hope the temperature is just right.
It feels nice. Very nice.
Awesome. My first question for you guys is what got you interested in film?
Ah, nice. I'll start and then I'll let Chris and Sarah follow suit. I've always loved film. I've been a fan of film since I was a kid, and I never thought of it as a way to make money or even an outlet. Friends and we would make films, silly little films for English class or whatever in high school, but it was never something that was real until I saw some friends making 48-hour film projects, which is a competition, an international competition. And I saw some friends making those, and I thought, I want to make a movie. And that was kind of what got me into it after loving film for so many years. Then here we go, starting to make short films using that. And then that snowballed into making commercials and feature films. And here we are talking to you in the fishbowl.
Awesome.
I as an actor, I just wanted to be an actor. So the truth is maybe I don't care about film, but I really do, obviously. But I mean, the transition for me happened when I got a request or something about going to be an extra or something on a movie that was being shot in East Tennessee, and I just I came in and they needed everyone clean. I was just going to be an extra, and they needed everyone clean shaven, and I had a beard, and I had to keep the beard, but I said I'd love to just work on the set. Anything you want me to do, and they're like, sure, we could use it. So I showed up and worked 2 or 3 days just pro bono as a grit, as like a PA basically with no responsibilities other than like move stuff and stay out of the way. But I loved it. I loved what happened on the set there, and I loved what it looked like and what it felt like, and I was hooked.
And as an actor too, I've always been a storyteller. That was kind of my background in my previous life before I was focused on filmmaking and acting. I worked in communications and public relations, so I was telling stories for other people and other companies, and then finally kind of got this divine intervention that scooted me into my calling in storytelling and acting and filmmaking. So that was a big transition for me right about 10 years ago, actually, now. And I've loved being a part of theater and then film and television ever since, and telling stories that people can consume.
Awesome. Now, I actually went to school for screenwriting here in Pittsburgh, and I'm in the process of trying to make the venture out to L.A. and see what happens, but trying to do the fishbowl first.
It's great. That's exciting.
Yeah. Thank you. The next question I wanted to ask you guys is what exactly got you interested in this project?
Well, Maki should go first on that one.
I'll go first. when I was in college, there was this girl I wanted to date, and I asked her out numerous times, and every time she kindly and gently let me down. And for years, I always thought, what if she had said yes? What would that world have looked like? And so that led to, I wrote several novels. I've written a lot of screenplays, but after finishing my first feature, I decided I needed a break from filmmaking, and this was in 2011, and so I decided to write a novel as my third novel, just as kind of a different creative exercise. And I had this idea of this story of this guy who always loved this girl and never got her, and then had an opportunity to see if there was another version of her in a parallel universe who might love him back. And I thought that would be fun, and in the novel I explored it in these grandiose, crazy ways that would never work on film. But there was ways, once I got to the point where I was writing it as a screenplay, I could see that there was actually a really interesting way where you boil it down to the core of that almost borderline obsession it feels almost unhealthy to the exploration of what does our life look like in a parallel universe, if such a thing might exist. And so I've found that filmmaking is such a fun and collaborative way to explore all sorts of fun things, and especially when you bring on amazing people like Kristopher and Sara to explore these characters. I thought that film was the best way to explore this fun idea of looking for answers in other universes, and just the adventure and the fun and the fish out of water that might exist in those situations.
And then I'll piggyback on that. Chris brought Motke and I together at his birthday party, 2015, introduced us with the goal that we could all work on this project together. And it immediately became clear that it was a perfect fit all around. I read the script and I was like, yes, please sign me up. And basically Motke pitched me on coming to Iceland and France to film initial footage for the film. And again, after reading the script, I said, sign me up.
Yeah, mine's a very similar story, but I'll add the little detail that I think what really got me interested was we had such a good time making a 48-hour film immediately preceding this feature film called Contrary to Likeness. And it explored parallel universes a little bit. And Motke and I had such a great time doing that he just called me. That film kind of had its day, and then we were preparing to go support that film overseas, and he said, I've got this script about this guy, and it just makes visual sense to start filming. And I agreed because it just sounded like a wonderful adventure.
Very cool, very cool. Now, Sara, I have to say that I really enjoyed watching the different versions of you.
Oh, thank you.
And my favorite was actually the one where you were like a crazy person.
Yes, that's universally a top pick for all the Suzettes.
I thought it was just you nailed it, and it was a very it was presented very comically and well done. So bravo.
Thank you. We had a lot of fun with that day.
Awesome.
And a little side note, Sara was actually had a raging cold that was coming on that day. And I just remember the amount of energy she was giving in each take, and then I would call cut, and all of a sudden all the color would drain out of her face, and she would just be like, oh, somebody just shoot me right now, please. And then we'd get cameras rolling, and boom, she would just explode with this energy and passion, and it was quite extraordinary. It was an extraordinary day.
That performance was very much influenced by Sudafed, too.
Thank you, Sudafed.
Thank you, Sudafed.
How many takes total did it take to shoot that scene?
Oh, gosh. Mike, you might know. I'm not sure.
I mean, we filmed all of that. That was almost a full half day. It was probably a good 4 or 5 hours of you having to be that high energy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was almost a full day.
Because we filmed a lot more that ended up getting cut too, didn't we?
Right. There's a whole scene where she finds Diggsy sleeping in the middle of a park, and that was about 3 hours just to film that, and then that all ended up in the cutting room floor, unfortunately, and we ended up where we are now. Which one day hopefully we'll release that scene because it's really fun. It just we were trying to find ways to make the film flow a little faster, and it was one that was fun, but it wasn't 100% necessary to have in there. So,
and I think my favorite part of all of that is just Chris's responses to that character. I mean, talk about like fish out of water. When your viewers watch it, it's one of my favorite parts. Is just his pure, authentic, awkward uncomfortableness around her, and it makes me really happy.
Yeah, and I want to say one more thing about Sarah and Chris and just that whole thing. When Diggsy's about to leave that world and he opens up the door and you hear the ocean and he leaves and she says, "Have fun at the beach." That was not scripted. That was Sarah just being awesome. And it ends up being one of my favorite lines in the entire film. I laugh every time.
Wait, I have to give credit where credit's due. That was a Chris Wenteism. He came up with that right before we filmed it.
See, this is why the collaborative filmmaking process is so great.
Yes.
Awesome.
That was far and away my favorite. Those were my favorite scenes to film with Sarah. Not to take anything away from the other ones, but I just had so much fun.
Yes.
It was a fun day.
Awesome. It definitely translates on the screen. So, bravo to everyone.
Thank you.
The next question I wanted to ask is, did any of you personally relate to any of the characters while shooting?
Chris,
why don't you go first?
Sure. Yeah. No. I do. I thought there were moments because if you're not aware, you might be. The project is several years in the making, and life has a way of sort of evolving over time, regardless of anything. Change is inevitable. So there were times throughout these past several years where I wasn't sure which was imitating which, art or life, but there definitely did feel like a connection, and so yeah, I definitely related to Diggsy, or I should say the journey.
And I obviously I had about a dozen Suzettes to work with, and so I kind of thought about it like that I was this box of crayons, and there was a little bit of each of them inside of me, and so when I look at each character, I definitely see parts of myself there, which is obviously the goal as an actor is to bring yourself to a character and bring the character to you, kind of doing that both together seamlessly. I'd probably, the one that I personally like the most, I think, is probably either the one that's bisexual or the one at the end. And I won't give anything away about that, but the one at the end. I think that I could connect with both of those the most, probably.
Yeah, those are good ones. As the writer, I wanted to write Diggsy as kind of this everyman type character that maybe people could relate to and see part of themselves in. But the way that Chris took it and the way that we talked through it and worked through it over years, the character became very much this very personal character for not only for me but for Chris, and I think he ended up having way more weight and gravitas than I expected the character to have when I first wrote it. And I love that about it. And once again, and I know I've mentioned this a few times, but that's one of the things I love about collaboration is that you get to Stephen King has a book called On Writing that I like quite a bit. And he says that the writing process, and I would even say that the filmmaking process is this way. It's like archaeology. You know that the dinosaur bones are under the surface, and you're kind of uncovering it, and you know what the shape's going to be, but you don't realize that there's going to be inside the stomach another smaller dinosaur or whatever it is. And so I think it's fun to work with the collaborators and not just the actors, but the producers and all of the different department heads and all the way down to the PAs, and everybody's giving some sort of magic that inevitably and in some way appears on screen. And so I think that's but apart from that, yes, I actually see a little bit of myself in all the characters, just because as a writer, I try to bring some personal things to it, while also skating the lines of reality and fantasy, and the exploration of whatever themes there are through those characters' actions and words.
Very cool. Very cool. The next question that I wanted to ask you guys is, well, each of you is, what would you do if you were, I guess, given the scenario of the film, and what would you do?
You mean like so you're saying that if we were in his position where we're kind of at a point of life?
If you were presented with the key to travel to any parallel universe, what would you do?
I think the cinematic point of the film is it helps us overcome the obstacle of the world rule that we have that you can't return. So I would never leave this universe, because I would leave behind everything in it. So I wouldn't go through the door. But of course, in the film, we have a man who feels that he has nothing to lose and nothing to fight for in his world, and that's kind of what spurs him forward. But yeah, if personally I was given the opportunity, I would probably bury that thing like Jumanji.
Yeah.
I think it's such an interesting, things like this, things like time travel, things where you could potentially mess up something. It's the key is the Hail Mary. Everything's going wrong. I'm going to try one more thing. And so, I think if you were going to do this, and I'm going to Sarah said this the other day in a different interview that we had, but I think if you were going to do this, if I were going to do this and all hope was lost or whatever, I would want to do it with a companion, take someone along with me, and we get to see some of that, and people have to see the film to kind of see how that plays out, but we get to see a little bit of that when Diggsy and his sister Daphne, played by the late Brittany Belland, got to go and adventure through parallel universes together. And I think that's one of the funnest part of the entire film, because you get to see this fun brother-sister exploration of the parallels, and you get to see them realize that they have nothing to lose, so they're just going to enjoy themselves. And I think it's such an interesting thing to think about of, if you did mysteriously get lost in the parallel universes, what could you do with it? And would you have something in your world that wasn't in these worlds? And what would you do with those things? Like, if you went to a world where your favorite band didn't exist or your favorite movie, what would you do? and what is your response to that, or your favorite book, or whatever it is. And that's gone forever. And now is your new goal. I've got to go back to a universe where Hey Jude still exists because I love that song, and if I never hear it again, I'll die, or whatever it is. So yeah, I don't know. It's such an interesting concept, and I think that's why it was fun for all of us to explore that through film and not actually have to lose everything just to see what would happen.
Yes, and I love that kind of the construct, the world that we created. Diggsy opens a door and is transported into the south of France or Reykjavik or somewhere beautiful and mostly lovely places, some ordinary places. But I feel like, what if you open the door and you're like, oh, it's South Dakota again, Like,
before we did actually have, I don't know how far into the edit and stuff that we were playing with this, but you guys have to realize we have hours of me wandering around. Hours and hours of wandering, and there were times where we were playing with the scenario where he's in the string theory doldrums where nothing's happening for a while. It didn't quite make it because, again, the overall pacing, but yeah, that's another angle here of just like, man, this is a real adventure.
How about you, Sam? What about you? What if you had that opportunity? What did your brain do when you saw this and you thought, man, what if there is a key? Where did your brain go?
I thought it was a very interesting concept. Because I've had some down times in my life where like I've wondered, well, like what if, and at the same time, you have to think there's like all this craziness going on in the world, but at the same time, there's all this other cool stuff and, beautiful stuff going on. And I think I would stay. I would stay because, I have close family. I have a sister that me and her are super close. There's just too many good things, I think, in the world that like we're currently in, despite all the bad stuff. That it would. I'm a huge horror movie buff, and I don't know what I would do if Reanimator didn't exist. So, but that's what I would do.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty good consensus. I mean, it's fun to think about, wow, what would life look like? But then at the other time, it's that reality, and I think that's what we feel that tension at the beginning with Diggsy as he's trying to decide if this is real, should I go, and what does that mean? And I think I hope that as the audience that we feel the weight of that decision that he's trying to make.
Absolutely. The next question I wanted to ask you guys is, what was it like working with the rest of the cast and crew?
Good one. Sarah, you want to start?
I can't say enough fantastic things about this cast and crew. We shot this film over about 3 years, I want to say. So I feel like we all got very close. This is a really strong crew. Most of us were Nashville based, and some people were Cincinnati based. The 4 leads, I think, all got to be very close too, including C.J. Perry and Brittany Belland. And I think the 3 of us here can talk about just how much we love Brittany. She passed away last year, and I think it's been really hard for all of us in seeing this film come out. I think that's probably one of the things that I'm most happy about our distribution and our film release, is that the world can see how fantastic Brittany is as Daphne.
I would second that. At the end of the day, all of us here, Earthwalkers, are we're just we just have a movie. But if y'all could see how wonderful of a human she was, and I think this film really gave an opportunity for her to shine, then that's all worth it, and that would be great.
Yeah, and I worked with Brittany on numerous films. This was the fourth film I worked with her on. She was in my other feature film that we did in 2011, and she was special. I was friends with her when she moved out to LA to get going, and we talked often, and she was so vested in this story. She read the novel. She was one of the only people to read the script and kept asking me, when are you going to make this film? And she never included herself. She always had this glimmer of hope when she would mention it, but she never assumed she was going to be in it. And I remember the day I called her and I said, "Hey, we're gonna make the film. We're gonna go to Iceland and France. We're gonna make the film." She was like, "Yay, that's so great." I was like, "I know, right? Isn't that great? And that's pretty cool." And I just waited. And she's like, "Yeah, that's really cool." I was like, "Hey, do you want to play Daphne?" And she just exploded. "Oh my God!" And I loved that about Brittany, just her raw passion. And she took over our social media account around the time that the film came out at the National Film Festival last year, and just her energy and her life in that, and how much she loved this movie and how much she loved all of us. It was so apparent. And yeah, I'm super happy that the world gets to see her stuff. But the rest of the film and the rest of the crew, there were some people who just gave so much, so many hours. It was lovely. And
Micah Sims is the cinematographer, and you've seen the film, guys, so you know how much eye candy and how much value and how much it's just such a beautifully lush and emotive shot film. I love what Micah did.
Yeah, and then conversely, what Ken Conrad, our editor, what he did working with all those images, and just I spent almost a year at Ken's edit suite, and just us working with the producers to try to get this edit together, and just gave so much, and still loves the film. So it's always great to see. Right now, as the film is out, we see all these cast and crew members posting and talking about the film, and there's just something really nice about people who don't hate each other at the end of a huge project like this.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful for that.
Awesome. My next question is, how long did the movie take to shoot?
Well, we filmed our first footage in Iceland and France in May of 2015. We brought it back. We edited a bunch of stuff together to go get some financing to finish the rest of the film. And then Sara had this crazy idea of having a family, and got pregnant, and it was awesome. And she got pregnant right about the time we got financing. She was starting to show, and we'd already filmed her, so we obviously couldn't do that. So that put us on a hiatus until October of 2016, which I think was probably definitely for the best. I think a lot of stuff happened between that time, and if we had just jumped right into it, the film would have been very different. And so I'm very happy that we were able to wait. We shot in Tennessee in October, which was a beautiful time of year, and then we had 4 different rounds of pickups where we would test the film. It would look, we would get some comments, and we said, I think we could fix that, and then we would do like a couple shoot dates, and we would do a smaller crew, and we did that a few times. Chris was so generous; he kept his beard. We kept having to shoot stuff, and we were like, "Chris, please, do you have your beard? We've got to go shoot another scene, please." And
I think I boned us once because I shaved, because I had to. I think I did that to us once, or set us back. I don't know, maybe not.
It was fine. It all worked out. So I think we filmed our last shots were in April of 2017. So it was almost 2 years of filming off and on for this film to come alive and be complete. And then it premiered at the National Film Festival in May of 2018.
Yes.
Yes. So no, April of 2018 was the last time we filmed. So it was almost 3 years of filming. I'm sorry, I had that wrong. So yeah, I'm going to say roughly 3 years-ish.
Awesome.
And then we premiered at the National Film Festival. I think it was the same 3 years to the day that we were in Iceland.
Yeah,
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 years to the
Very
day.
surreal. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I think the film turned out great. I definitely enjoyed getting a little sneak peek at it, and I appreciate Mike Leota letting me interview you guys and view a screener of the film and get to talk about it with you. I have one more question, and then I have 2 closer questions.
Great.
The final question is probably the most important one of all, which is, would you guys work with each other again if given the opportunity?
Tomorrow.
I hope so.
Yeah. No, we definitely. I mean, it's. Yeah. I mean, it's what a great people. I mean, this is. I've worked with Sara on what? 4 projects, Sara, already?
Yeah.
In life? I think 4 projects with Sara, 4 or 5 with Chris. We reuse a lot of the crew who worked on this. I still work to this day with the editor and the producers. I mean, we're really a family, and it's exciting, and we're all rooting for each other. Like right now, 2 of our actors are WWE superstars, CJ and Miro, who are Lana and Rusev in the WWE. And, we're rooting for them. We want them to succeed. And we see other actors and other crew members get called up into bigger things. And it's just exciting to see people flourish and know that they were part of this film that we have dedicated so many years of our lives to. And so I would, not only have I worked with these people again, I look forward to opportunities to work with all of this cast and crew again.
Yes. To echo that, Motke especially, and he has a reputation for this, of just being an actor's director. He really gives actors a lot of freedom and, again, the collaboration that he keeps talking about. So that, I know I say I would work with him again in a heartbeat, but that's generally the consensus of most actors who work with Motke. He's just a joy and a pleasure to create with. And then Chris, I could just sing his praises all day long. He's one of my closest friends, and he's so charismatic in reality and on camera. I just love working with both of them.
Yeah, if I may, we hope that I just felt it's been one of the most exciting adventures of my life. Just everything to do with the film, from beginning it to traveling, actually traveling to Iceland and riding around in vans.
Mm-hmm.
Wind blows out, we rented a bunch of vans to shoot out there, and the wind blew one of the doors almost off and bent it, and so 4 or 5 of us are sitting here trying to muscle this piece of metal back into place. That has a way of bringing people together. So yeah, Sara, I love all of Sarah's family, and I love Sara, and I love all of Motke's family. Yes, we are not only friends, but I would hope that we could continue creating stuff together.
I want to. It's interesting because you see this all the time, right? You see Scorsese likes to work with DiCaprio, and you see all of these different things. And after making this film, you really feel why people like to continue to work, because you you work through things and you're like, okay, we now have a shorthand. There's something magic here, and we don't have to test the waters. We know where those boundaries are, and we can push them and explore them. And I think it's beautiful when you see that, and then there's just I just want to be around these people, and it's a great thing. And that's why, Sam, we're thankful you brought us on here for us to chat, because this is just another opportunity for us to intersect as friends, so thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure talking with you guys. My last two closer questions for you guys are, what are some of your favorite films, and that's just in general, and do you have any other upcoming projects to promote?
Nice. Chris?
Favorite films? Man, that's a tough one. I'll go with the classic Lord of the Rings, because I read the books every summer from 12 to 16. I just read this. I would read all the way through in the summer because I was bored. So when the movies came out, I about died. You asked earlier what got me into film. To tell you the truth, I think those movies did. I saw them and I would just watch the hours and hours behind the scenes, and I just thought, what a dream come true to just do that. So Lord of the Rings, and then stuff coming up. I am shaved my head basically off and my beard, so I don't look anything like Diggsy. And I was a sergeant in an upcoming movie called Cherry, about a young man who has undiagnosed PTSD, based on a novel by the same name. And that'll be out sometime next year.
Awesome.
I as a film viewer, I'm like, it's like movies to me are like pizza. Even if they're bad, they're still pretty good. Like I really like almost everything I see. I would be the worst film reviewer. I feel like I appreciate the effort that goes into it. I'm like, way to go, you did the thing. So I just love watching films, and I love the filmmaking process. I'd say one of my go-to films that no one really knows about is called Dangerous Beauty. So that's like the one I always recommend, because nobody knows to watch that. I think all the other films get like great shout outs in the award circuit and everything, but it's an oldie, but it's a really goodie. It's one of my favorites. And then this year I had some fun guest star, co-star appearances on some HBO shows that just came out. I was in a couple episodes. The Righteous Gemstones and Watchmen had a little appearance there too. And I just had another baby, so I'm getting ready to start auditioning again and working again in 2020. That's me.
Nice. So favorite films. I'm a chronic list maker, so I kind of know. I have the same 5 films I always tell people, but I think 3 of my 5 favorite films really speak into another version of you to some extent, and that's Stranger Than Fiction, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and About Time, which the thread from all of them is they're kind of this soft fantasy, soft science fiction where the mechanics and all of the the science part of it, or the all that part of it is not the story. The story is the relationships, and all of those kind of speak into, as a filmmaker, I want more films like that, and it's why I wrote Another Version of You, and why all these lovely people came in to help me make this film. So, and then what I'm working on now, we're promoting this film, trying to get it out there. I've got a few scripts I've written. I make commercials to help pay the bills, and trying to get some more of those lined up, and just trying to get another movie made, and keep chasing the dream.
Awesome. And where can everyone view the film?
Yes, you can go to anotherversionofyou.com. And if you go there, there's a whole bunch of options to purchase it, whether it's digital, on demand, Blu-ray, DVD. You can get it at Amazon and Target and Walmart, not in the stores, but on their websites, iTunes, Vudu, Amazon Prime. It's not streaming yet. It'll eventually be streaming, but we would love if you would go out today and buy it and give us some good reviews and help continue to spread the word as the audience. We would very much appreciate that. And just support other independent films. Part of the thing that I've experienced through this is we just, as independent filmmakers, we need to go, champion other independent filmmakers because even though I love the Marvel movies and Star Wars and all those big things, if we're going to have small, intimate stories, we all have to go and support those. And so I hope that we'll all try to find ways to go and find a few small movies a year to support and champion.
I could not agree more. Awesome. Well, Motke, Chris, Sarah, thank you so much for taking the time to swim in the bowl with me. I again hope the temperature was just right.
Thank you so much, Sam. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Great.
Absolutely. All right. See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Sam.
Absolutely. Bye.
All right. Bye.